So our next question comes from Tim in Cheshire in the United Kingdom, and it's regarding the door and the hinge. Now he asked, why did we not, first of all, let me explain. This is what's known as a gull wing door. We looked at a conventional door like a car. We looked at a suicide door, a car door that would open backwards. We looked at a scissor door like a Lamborghini. I was very interested in doing a van-style door where the whole door would just pop out and slide back, and also van-style windows that would just slide back. And if I was doing this for myself, and only for myself, that is how I would do it. But here's what I found when we're trying to develop a kit so the average guy can build this thing in his garage. And the sliding doors just started getting too complicated. There's tracks that have to run through the roof line and through the body. There's a lot of hardware, a lot of moving parts and latches and pop-out hinges and mechanisms. And we were well into designing that door, but just stopped. It was just getting too complicated, too expensive for the average guy. So then we went to the conventional style doors, which let me take a moment to explain that the conventional style door does not work on a vehicle with a round cross-section. It has to do with the fact that the hinges, the pins have to be in line, and then everything has to clear the body. Now I could get more into it, but just take my word for it. A conventional style door, we just couldn't get it to work without having very large hinges that protrude into the cabin. Now, unlike a car where you have 4 or maybe 6 inches of body, you may not know this, but your car door hinge takes up quite a bit of room in there. In our cabin bike, we have 1 inch between the body on the outside and the interior on the inside. There is just no room to put any sort of hinge inside the body, and we don't want anything intruding into the interior. So that really eliminated the styles of doors that we could have. Our next choice was a Lamborghini style scissor door, which we've done before. It's relatively easy, but it just got, again, I think too complicated. The way the latch has to work, the door jambs have to work, the way the door has to do kind of a double motion to clear the door jambs, and also the way it has to hold up the weight of the entire door. We've done them on Lamborghinis, and you can do it. They're a little bit tricky. Again, I just felt it was a little bit too complicated for a kit, for a do-it-yourself project. So the other thing we did look at the door that goes all the way over the roof, so that the door would be hinged on the far side of the body. And when you open the door, the whole side of the vehicle would open, including the roof. Well, what happens there is there's no structure in the roof. And if you look at other cabin bikes that have that design, there is no NHRA, SCCA, Southern California Timing Association. None of these guys are going to approve for on-track, for drag racing, for land speed records, for circle track. They're not going to approve any sort of vehicle that has no structure in the roof. And so that we just could not have the entire roof open up. If we did, it would have to have a roll cage in it, and then that kind of negates the nice big opening on the roof if we have a roll cage in the way. So what we wound up with was the gull wing style door. And originally we started with 2 hinges. Don't try that. Again, because our body is actually curved a lot in 2 directions. It's kind of like trying to put a door on the side of an egg. What we found is if we used 2 hinges, one hinge had to be slightly inside the interior and the other one had to be slightly outside the body. It just didn't work. So we went with a single hinge That is what a Lamborghini scissor door uses, is just a single hinge. But we used a single hinge in the Gull Wing door. So we'll take a moment here and we'll look at the pin that we came up with. Here's the door pin. And we'll look at the hinge configuration. Here's the hinge configuration. And then we can see here in the background what the door looks like when it's opened. I have it propped up right now. And the way we have it designed, it's going to open up to about 6 foot tall. So somebody 6 foot tall should be able to just stand underneath the door without hitting their head on it. One other thing about the door is the doorway had to be fairly narrow, actually about 16 inches. And this is considered a high-performance vehicle. It's a race vehicle. And honestly, with a 16-inch opening, not everybody's going to be able to get into it. But that's what was required for us to maintain the integrity in the chassis. And we just couldn't do it with a huge door opening, with a roof that opened up. There was really nothing left. And so the smaller door opening, it's comfortable for me. If you're a big guy, you're just not going to get in the vehicle. The door opening is small enough that it didn't take away from the integrity of the chassis itself. The door opening is short enough that we didn't migrate into the roof. There's going to be a lot of structure in the roof area. And believe me, we spent about a month looking at the scissor doors, conventional doors, suicide doors. We did all kinds of mock-ups and all kinds of prototypes. We settled on the Gull Wing door, and then we spent about a week on the hinge configuration, trying to figure out where to put the hinge and how to make it work. And what we finally came up with is what I believe is the one way that it can be done, is a Gull Wing style door with a single hinge located about in the center of the chassis. And so Tim from the UK, I hope that answers your question.